And we're live. Okay. What's up, everybody? First thing we're going to do is a nice little sound check. Let me go to YouTube and mute that. Okay. Okay, so can everybody hear us? I'm going to start with CP. CP, go ahead and say something.
Yo. Hi.
Cool. And let me go opening. Let me change that. Okay. Durbin.
What is up? Can I be heard loud and clear?
Cody.
It's beginning to look a lot like Scream Stream.
Mr. Sean Chandler.
Yo.
There he is. Okay, cool.
And not lagging at the moment. That's good.
That's good.
I'm excited about that.
So
I am too.
I'm thinking you guys can hear us. Can you hear us? Somebody in the chat just let us know you can hear us.
Thank you to Susie Hart.
Susie Hart, thank you very much. She's one of my newest patrons. Very lovely person. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dr. Sinister, you get the shout out, buddy. He can hear us. So we're going to start the intro now.
Is that the trade-off to get a shout out?
I had somebody ask for a shout out in my commentary yesterday, and then like 8 people asked for it. And I was like, this is not how a commentary works.
Just saying names 20 minutes.
Can hear but not see.
Yeah, it's all blick.
That's because I switched the screen in OBS.
Please call everybody. Like the doctor said.
Yeah. What's that Halloween music? No.
Bryan.
So it wouldn't have been an argument.
I cannot wait to get this getting hurt as we try to make sense out of it.
Oh.
High quality H2O.
Oh. Good call, Cody.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Scream stream. Today, it's all the Endgame. We're in the Endgame now. We're going to be talking Endgame spoilers. I have 2 very lovely guests that were here last week talking about Pet Sematary with us.
Well, thank you, Lee.
No, you guys know. You guys you've been here way too long. You don't even deserve introductions anymore.
The other guys.
Yeah. First off, we'll start with my guests. I have the ever so lovely Sean Chandler. Sean, introduce yourself. Tell us about your channel, good sir.
Hey, my name is Sean Chandler. My channel is Sean Chandler Talks About on the YouTube. It's just a place for people that like to talk about movies way too much and that kind of annoy your friends and family and coworkers and people in comment sections talking about movies too much. That's what my channel's for, to have all of those obnoxious conversations with other people just like you. And so talking lots of Endgame. So I'm excited here to actually talk Endgame with other humans.
Well, just so you know, Sean, we're all annoying.
I know all of you well enough to know that about you.
Durbin!
Wait, what?
Tell us about Durbania.
Durbania. Well, this weekend on Durbania, it's all in-game. I got a spoiler-free, spoiler talk. I got an analysis coming out on Monday. I love this movie, and so I'm super excited to be, like Sean, talking about it with people just as annoying and just as nerdy as me, and I cannot wait to get into it. So, come over to my channel. You see movie reviews, movie talk, movie analyses, all kinds of cool things.
Awesome.
Thank you, Jacob Angus. $15 in the super chat. What's up, guys? Love the videos. Can't wait for this discussion.
Thank you so much, Jacob. That was very nice of you, good sir. Bryan Lomax, one of our partners in crime, he cannot be here tonight. Life happens. But he will be here on the next episode. So
condolences, Bryan.
Yep, condolences, Bryan. We love you, brother. CP, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Good deal. Somebody said Peter Dinklage in the Nazgoat 2345. I don't know why that stuck out to me, but it did. Stormbreaker. Okay, Cody, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm ready to talk some Endgame.
Let's
All
do
right.
this.
I presented a kill list to my my guests here, and they were like, "There's no way we're getting to all that." So we'll get to whatever we can get to, I guess, because this is a big, beefy movie. Holy crap! And I've only seen it once. First off, I'll ask you guys because I only saw this once so far. Anybody of you guys seen it more than once?
Nope.
I have.
I came this close to seeing it a second time last night at a drive-in, but suffering through Dumbo was enough. I decided to go home.
You went home angry. Yeah, so Sean saw it twice. I was gonna go see it another time, but I still want to. I just haven't had the chance to yet. But it's definitely a movie that stays with you. Like when I did my non-spoiler review, that was literally like right after I got home from the theater, and I was still like, oh my god, my brain was like almost about to explode.
I will say I watched Sean's spoiler review, so I do feel like I've watched it a second time because, dude, you had like, every scene written out. I was wow, he remembered a lot, or he found an online list of something. I was like, this is the same thing as watching the movie, only an hour and a half.
I recorded my spoiler talk right after seeing the movie and only posted it this morning. You should have seen it. Me and my friend the Cholo Nerd. Oh my gosh, the movie was so heavy and still so weighing on us. It's like maybe we should have waited a day to record this because oh my gosh, it was insane just trying to pick it apart while still feeling all of the emotions because literally we had just got back from watching it.
I actually had to sleep on it. Usually I only have to sleep on it if my feelings are conflicted. My feelings were solid, but I just wanted to calm myself down a bit because otherwise I would just turn the camera on and be like, oh my god, you're gonna so.
Well, I will say, when I walked out of the theater, the crowd, packed crowd, of course, everybody was freaking out, loving the movie. When I walked out, I did have a couple of small issues. One big one that we'll definitely get into, but and I thought I was alone. And my son, he's a Marvel guy, he's not a DC guy, and he even had some issues with it, which kind of surprised me.
Well, there's issues to be had, but I like, instead of calling them plot holes, I have dubbed them plot opportunities because I just want to love this movie.
This is a movie that in time could quote unquote fix itself for me because, like I said, one viewing is not enough for Endgame. I think you need to take it in a couple times at least. That didn't sound right.
The movie will fix itself. That's what's going to happen.
Well, in my world, I guess it will.
However you want to put it, Lee. That's fine. Just wrap a bow around it.
Just takes a few opinions for me to change it all around.
Need some time for the lead to kick in.
Yeah.
The movie fixed itself.
First off, let me say hi to some people in the chat real quick. Draven G, Zed, Blaze Sawyer, SB no audio. I know I screwed that up. Sean Chandler, who's that guy?
That's
Red
me.
Danger, yeah. It's Dr. Sinister. Haley, I've seen Haley in my comments quite a few times. Dave Cave, what's up, brother? How you doing? I see him on Twitter all the time. He's got a channel. Check his channel out.
Doing
Dan
a video
Schoen.
with him later today.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Awesome.
I got a full day.
Yeah.
Today is pretty much in game for. I know Durbin's doing another stream after this too.
Yeah,
right, Durbs?
Ryan O'Toole's channel. I get like an hour break, and then I'm going live on his channel and gonna do the same thing I'm doing with you. So I can't get enough talking about it. So why not?
Yeah. I mean, and one thing I will say is like my YouTube feed is it might as well be called in-game tube because every video on YouTube is in-game right now. It's just it's sweeping the nation right now. So.
Oh man.
Rightfully so, though. It's a big movie. It's the end of this whole thing. There's a celebration. There's some sadness. There's all kinds of great stuff to discuss with this movie. So, first thing I thought it might be fun to present just a question to you guys. Give me your opinion in 10 words or less of Endgame, and I will start with Sean. Just give me 10 words or less. What's on your mind about this movie? Kind of to sum it up.
10 words? Okay.
It's a challenge, I know.
Big emotions, satisfying conclusion, obvious missteps, epic moments, very good.
I'll give you mine right now. I really have to pee, but I don't want to miss anything.
That's a good sentence.
Yeah. Durbin, go ahead.
I really have to pee, but that's great. Okay. I loved it so freaking much. Some problems, who cares?
That was exactly 10 words.
Yeah, I tried.
Great job. CP? PG rated, please.
Landed the plane.
Thank you.
Nice.
And that's a great way to sum it up too. And Cody, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna keep it clean just in case we have some newer users here, some newer viewers. But I'll give you the same 3 words that I gave to you guys when I was walking out of the theater, the same 3 words that I gave to Facebook when I walked out of the theater, and the same 3 words that I opened my review with, and that is holy blankety blank.
That's one word.
I remember, like, in our group chat right after because I think me, CP, and Cody all saying it around the same exact time, and right when I got home, it was CP and Cody were like, "Holy blankety blank!" So
yeah, I had my phone still on me; it was on vibrate, and I felt Cody's message in the thing, and it was like right in the middle of the battle, and I see Cody saying, "Oh, I'm like, oh, all right, it's not done yet. Hold on."
Well, I mean, first off, I got to give props to Kevin Feige. I mean, to have that type of goal as far back as Iron Man in 2008, and to see the end of this thing, like, did he even see the end of this thing in 2008? To me, it's just amazing what him and his crew, his team, were able to achieve with this thing. Like, Marvel or not, because there's MCU people, there's DC people, but at the end of the day, even if you're a DC guy, you have to acknowledge that he did it. This is it. Yeah. I mean, they literally ended it, and it was probably one of the greatest franchises ever made, as far as quality goes. We all have our problems here and there with certain movies, but I mean, they made it count when it needed to count.
Oh, and yeah.
I just watched Winter Soldier again last night, and I was just like, wow, man, this movie is so amazing. And, there's a lot of movies like that where he just freaking nails it every time. Any thoughts on that? I'll start with Cody.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about where we were with comic book films back in 2008 when we had Iron Man and The Dark Knight drop the same year. And, like, if you had told any of us probably where this thing was going to be by the end of 2019 when we just walked out of Iron Man, they'd been like, you're smoking crack. There's no way there's going to be 22 movies and 12 of them aren't going to be garbage. You know what I mean? It's just the rule of averages. But even, I have quite a few of issues with a lot of the movies, especially some of the more standalone ones that feel very formulaic. But I've said it numerous times, even the worst Marvel movie is still like a good movie. Like 3.5 out of 5 probably at worst, which, like, Iron Man 2, Thor the Dark World, those tend to be kind of the popular bottom 2. There's no movie in the MCU that's just trash or complete missteps or something that you just want to erase. Like, there's some issues here and there, but they kept consistency better than any franchise I can think of.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, my least favorite movie in the whole thing is Guardians Volume 2, and that's still a 3 out of 5 movie,
Yeah.
And I know that's surprising to some people, but I don't know.
Well, like Flash, all the time, people hate on me because I'm pretty negative on that one as well. It's one of my least favorites. Yeah. And, I still gave it a positive review when I first posted it. I still praise all sorts of elements, and at its worst, it's a slick, well-made movie with plenty of entertainment value to it. Like, at its worst, the MCU is still very watchable and enjoyable.
Oh, yeah.
I'll present that question to you too, Durbin. Like, as far as, like, the whole thing, the whole package, did you feel like the whole thing was a success in your mind?
Oh, definitely. And I'm just going to really echo everything you guys already said. Like, even at its worst, like, for me, like, Guardians Volume 2 is not my least favorite. I think my least favorite is Thor the Dark World. Yeah. But even Thor the Dark World, I can still pop it in and watch it and have a good time with it. So, like, even the MCU at its worst is 100% watchable and still 100% fun. And so they just did a great job keeping it cohesive, which is a testament to the fact that they switched out Rhodey's, they switched out Hulks, they had major cast changes that, didn't look super good with continuity, and yet kept the continuity, kept the cohesiveness, and kept it like one awesome story. So, and then to give it this epic conclusion, I mean, no matter what is in the future for us with the MCU, just this first generation of the MCU is going to go down in history as my favorite franchise.
Now, the first thing I want to dive into, because I got a feeling Sean and CP are going to echo those sentiments, unless they got something.
I literally was going to say
different.
what Cody said before he said it, but then he said it, so I don't have anything to say except this.
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my audience's time.
So I just kept going.
I'm not going to ramble on and say.
Let's hear the same thing
said.
2 more times. Now, the first thing I wanted to jump into was, I guess, expectations from Infinity War, and what you guys thought you were going to get with Endgame. And I'll start with Sean on this. And did you want them to give us another Infinity War, or were you happy that they made this more of a character study for, what's the fallout of all this thing for the first half of the movie?
Yeah, so Infinity was and is my favorite of the movies in the MCU. I just epic, tons of character, love the interactions, and then just the shocking finale. So, of course, naturally, my expectations are through the roof going into this movie. But I didn't really, as much as I did theory videos and predictions of who was going to die, I didn't really go in with a bunch of expectations of like, oh, they better do this. I really want them to do this. I went in saying, all right, the Russos have a great track record, and more importantly, Feige has a great track record. I'm going to trust them to do what they want to do with this. And so I didn't go in necessarily, I want a second war or anything like that. So when this one was kind of certainly much lighter on action until the last hour, it was something I noted in my brain, but it didn't bother me necessarily. And as we'll get into our issues later on with the movie, there was some missteps, some things I didn't like the direction they went with it, but none of it played into like, oh, I was disappointed with the movie or anything like that. They gave a great second part to a movie that obviously is my favorite and maybe my favorite franchise of all time. So it's a great way to follow it up and close out an era.
Yeah. I was actually watching Chris Stuckman's review, and he made a really good point about fanboyism and how sometimes those expectations can be dangerous because fanboys, they want their movie. And so if you go into a movie thinking, I better get this, and this, and if I don't get that, then it's a bad movie. And I'm a little guilty of this too. I will admit it. I kind of did that with the Hulk. I wanted a certain Hulk movie, but at the end of the day, it's not my movie. It's the MCU. It's Kevin Feige's. It's the Russo brothers. It's their movie. So you have to respect what they set out to do.
Right, and there's a side to it where people think and say things a lot like, well, it has to be better than Infinity War. It has to be better than this. And this is someone that loves Infinity War, so they're saying it has to be better than this thing that you love and already have way up on a pedestal for you to enjoy it. Like that's where you're setting yourself up for failure. Like I didn't go into this thinking it has to be better than Infinity War. No, I just want them to make a great finale, which they did. So even though there's things that maybe went in different directions or that didn't work as well for me, that's not like it doesn't lead to disappointment because I never needed it to be the best MCU movie yet. I never needed it to be better than anything. It just needed to be good on its own terms, which it is.
Yeah, for sure. I'll pass this one to CP. Like, as far as what Infinity War was as a movie, what that movie achieved, how did you feel? Like how in the hell are they going to top Infinity War? And I know I just pretty much went against what Sean just said there. You don't want to try to top that movie. But I mean, did you go into this movie with that mindset? Like, I want this to be better than Infinity War. I'm going to pass this to you, and I'm going to go grab my dog real quick. Go ahead.
All right, that's cool. So I think out of this entire group, I'm probably the one with the lowest expectations. I probably have the most comic book movie fatigue. So if anything, that there was no sort of expectation going into it. I just needed it to, like I said, land the plane. Just this is a really good cliffhanger. However you want to put, however Infinity War ended, that's great. Just tie the bow around it. And that's all it really needed to be for me as somebody who, wasn't invested one way or another. If it was incredible, great. If it was horrible, that's a shame. But it's not like I was going to, riot it one way or another. Are you still here? Are you not back?
I'm here.
All right, Sean, what do you guys think of that?
Lee, we don't know what to do.
We can't see you, Lee.
Yeah. See, I still haven't hit the comic book fatigue yet. The one thing I'm fatiguing with comic books is constantly rebooting and constant, all that. But like the MCU, I never got tired of, and I did an expectations video, And I had really, really high expectations, and I walked out completely satisfied with the movie and what it did. I liked it a little bit better than Infinity War myself, but, that's because I'm thinking finale. I want good impact, and I got deep impact, especially at the very end of this movie, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit, but like the stuff that occurred at the end hit me a little bit harder than at the end of Infinity War.
That first act too, that they actually take half an hour to breathe and let the effects of Infinity War just kind of sit and permeate. I really enjoyed the fact that they took that much time to show the world afterwards.
Yeah, I love that they actually focused on, just what's the fallout of everything. I mean, these characters have been through hell. Half their friends freaking died.
Yeah, underrated scene is Captain America leading a support group, being a superhero in real life. Like that was a really neat touch for me.
Yeah,
yeah, that was cool. Well, what I liked about it is so all these characters kind of had their quirks afterwards, their coping mechanisms. But you look at Captain America, and you have to think about his mental strength, and that doesn't come from the serum. The serum is only a physical thing, but for him to have that mental strength and fortitude to go through being frozen for 70 years, losing half of his friends and disintegrate, like Bucky died in front of him. And all of that Civil War was over Bucky, and Bucky died in front of him. But he maintained that mental fortitude to continue to be a leader, to start a support group. Like that, I was blown away by Captain America in this movie. I love Chris Evans' portrayal of that character, and I thought...
And like I said, I just watched Infinity War last night, and that scene at the end when he's pretty much telling Bucky, go ahead and finish it. I'm a friend of yours till the end, or something like that. Yeah. I just got freaking chill bumps. It just kind of reminded me how great of a character Steve Rogers is in this whole thing. He's kind of like the heart and soul of the Avengers, whereas Tony Stark's really kind of the mind and the machismo and all that stuff. And I guess that's a good segue into actually Tony Stark as a character, because we open with Tony stuck on that ship for, I think what is it, like 22 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Tony definitely went through some hell, and I'll throw this one to Cody. How do you think all this affected Tony?
I mean, I think it affected him a lot, and they put a lot of focus on Spider-Man, kind of like embodying the effect that it has on him, because Tony and especially Captain America have had like that battling ideology ever since Age of Ultron, and they kind of call back to that whenever they first rescue him and he comes back, and everybody's still grieving that they're happy to have Tony back, and he just starts throwing daggers at everybody, especially Cap. Like, I told you we should have done this, now everybody's dead, and he kind of takes the more angry response to it. But then I like the touch where you get the 5 years later thing, and then we get to see Tony, and he's been married, he's got a child, everything like that, and he kind of gets to have that life outside of being a superhero that never really seemed possible for him until this movie. Like, it took death and destruction and genocide to give him a 5-year break, basically.
Right. Which is a really nice touch in this movie, because it means that as horrible as everything is, we're in this post-apocalyptic world that, of course, it has to be fixed and undone, but Thanos' snap was good for Tony Stark. There were people that got their dream life because of what Thanos did. And so Tony is sacrificing his dream life because he knows it's the greater good. That was a really nice, the way they did that. It was like, this has so much deeper, richer emotions because they've actually shown Thanos making Tony's life better.
Well, it gave me confidence about the time travel element, because I was kind of afraid it would X-Men Days of Future Past. Are they going to screw it up? But then Tony comes in and says, I can't lose what I found. And so it became this priority. Yeah, we're going to go into the past, but we can't change it. We have to do every effort to keep things the same and have our impact be minimal. And I thought that upped the stakes of time travel. So every mistake that they made was just that much more stressful, knowing you got to find a way to put this back. Tony cannot lose his wife and his daughter.
I love that they explored that. Like, even tragedies in our life can cause great things to happen. And so when you're presented with this opportunity to go back and change it and bring your friends back, but then if you do that, there's a possibility of losing what you've gained because of this tragedy. It's a really interesting thing to explore. Now, as far as like Tony Stark, I found him, as far as like the character that's changed the most out of the whole crew. I think Tony Stark really was a different person in this movie because of everything he went through, and that opening scene when Captain Marvel, she saves him, and then he's back down to Earth, and that confrontation that he has with Steve Rogers, and he looks all gaunt, looks like he lost like 20, 30 pounds.
Yes.
And he says to Steve Rogers, he was like, yeah, we had our differences, but you didn't see it through. You weren't there for me. You weren't my friend, because that's what a real friend does. A friend is with a person in the good times and the bad. No matter what their ideology, I can't say that freaking word, but
I had the same trouble. I had the ideology.
No matter what their belief system is, a friend's a friend, and you're like, I don't believe in what you're doing, but I got your back. I'm always there for you. And I almost cried during that scene. It was beautiful, and that's something we haven't seen out of Tony Stark. We've seen little blemishes of it here and there, but man, he really just poured his heart out, and then he like literally pulls his heart out, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I loved his overall MCU character arc. He's kind of cocky and stuff in the beginning. Avengers fills him with fear, that first Avengers movie. Iron Man 3 is his post-traumatic stress. Age of Ultron, he acts on that fear, and out of fear creates Ultron, which goes out of control. Yep. He no longer trusts himself, so he wants to hand over his freedoms in Civil War, tries to rebuild himself by mentoring Spider-Man, and it's finally in this movie that he overcomes, that resentment and that fear.
Well, I watched the first Iron Man for the first time in years 2 days ago after I saw Endgame. I was on like an MCU kick, and it's cool how it's not like right in your face, but there's certain things that Tony Stark says even in that original movie that they kind of bend all the way through to Endgame, like just some of his ideology, some of the things that he says, and some of the things that he tries to do. Like he even tries to sacrifice himself at the end of that movie. He tries to sacrifice himself at the end of the Avengers. So that heroism, that whatever it takes heroism, has always kind of been writing on the wall for Tony Stark, but he kind of hides it all with his smart mouth and everything. So it's never the forefront, but even though he's the one that's basically, the powers kind of come from the suit, he always has that fortitude, like, I'll give whatever it takes,
And the Dave Cave in the comments, he says, I think Tony was in the wrong for blaming Rogers. It was his call to be separated from Steve. And I think Dave's right there. I think it was more of an emotional response than an actual educated response. And I think he's just, plus he's physically just broken down. But
oh yeah, and that's Tony Stark. That's what he's done throughout all these movies, is emotional responses. I mean, Iron Man 3, here's my address, terrorist.
Yeah.
Civil War. The whole conflict towards the end of it is him being emotionally compromised, and so him coming back and lashing out. That's so Tony Stark, which kind of makes him being a much calmer person in the rest of the movie after the time jump, even more powerful, of like that 5 years really did change him.
Mm-hmm.
Can I just say I think Iron Man 3 is underrated? I'm just putting that out there.
Yes.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like,
but that's where expectations. I was talking about expectations and fanboyism, and don't you dare change up who the Mandarin is. And then when you go into the movie, they're like, nope, it's our movie, and you're gonna have to deal with it. It's got some problems, but I love Tony Stark in that movie. I think he goes through a nice arc in Iron Man 3. So yeah. So now Tony Stark gets back. Then they really don't have too much time to agree, because they gotta take care of this problem. Captain Marvel's there. She's like, let's go kill Thanos right now. And so what did you think was going to happen? I'll throw this one to
She didn't want help from anybody doing anything in this movie.
Say again?
I said, not let's. I'll go kill Thanos. She didn't want help from anybody.
Yeah, she was just going to go do it by herself. Yeah.
Yeah. She's not having any group anything. It's all me, guys.
CP, were you surprised how that whole thing unfolded with Thanos in the beginning?
Surprised?
As far as him dying within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, because I thought that, I guess, knowing that he comes back, yes, I didn't expect him to come back. I thought maybe they were going to undo everything from the past from there forth. I guess surprised if you consider the ending, yes, because I thought that was it. Like, all right, now they're going to have to figure out how to undo everything he did, but to bring him back kind of takes away from that kill in the beginning. Surprised, I don't think the word I'd use.
Well, it was a little bit of vindication because of, Thor. The big thing everybody says about Thor after Infinity War is like, even Thanos, like, you should have went for
But
the
look
head.
what it did to him.
Yeah. And Thor's been through a lot, too, by the way. I saw a lot of that in the comics, too.
Can I say, too, I think it's really funny how on opposite ends of the spectrum, like, we'll get a movie like this where Thor just decapitates somebody on screen, like, to hell with it, I don't want to hear anything you have to say, but we'll hear so much from the same exact community about how if Batman kills somebody, it's the end of the world. Like, it cracks me up how one can't and one can, and it's cool.
Yeah, it's funny how all these rules are established based on a character, and sometimes a franchise. But yeah, it's a great point. And to me, everything comes around to the story. And if killing's involved in the story, then as long as it works and it fits in the story, then I'm cool with it. I never got bent out of shape, and maybe that's because I don't read comic books. I never really got bent out of shape about what a character does in a journey. If a character kills somebody, there better be a good reason why, or that better be their core purpose. They might be like an evil person, but if they're not an evil person and they kill somebody, as long as they lay it out for me and let me know why that person's doing it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I just felt like Batman killing in BVS underscored his Superman is chaotic and nobody can hold him accountable and he could just do whatever he wants while Batman goes off killing and doing whatever he wants. And so that kind of, for me in that story, that's why his killing undercut that. Thor cutting off Thanos' head, I have absolutely no problem with. That dude is a warrior and a Viking, and he, has lived 1,500 years, killing twice as many enemies. So that doesn't bug me that Thor just cut off his head. Made me think of Aragorn and Return of the King, where he cut off that dude's head in the extended editions.
Yeah, and this is war. Especially in the MCU, this is a big war. There's going to be death. So.
And this is a dude that hurt Thor deeply. And it was time. Like, he's like, you're dead, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pass that one to Sean too, just to get.
Yes.
As far as Thanos, and were you surprised with Thanos' demise in the first 20 minutes?
Yeah. So kind of my speculation as to what was going to happen at the beginning of the movie was that they were going to go and try and battle Thanos and fail miserably, and so he would defeat them again. So it wasn't on my radar that potentially he dies, and so the reason I was expecting a time jump. And I thought they were going to fail, and then time jump would happen. I was not expecting that they would basically succeed. They found him and defeated him very easily.
Yeah.
But it left it in so much more of a hopeless place because it's not. There's always hope if he's out there with the stones and the gauntlet. All right, how do we defeat that guy over there? If they're gone and he's dead, you're just sitting there. There's nothing we can do. Yeah. We're just lost here. Now, we as the audience are aware of the little hints and nuggets that they planted in the Ant-Man movies, but they don't know that. And so then, very much I was caught off guard by it. And it just, once again, one of those nice little touches in how they set up the movie, crafted the story to have kind of the most emotional oomph going into that 5-year time gap of just there is no hope. And seeing these characters in this new place, in this new world.
Timothy Glidden, have a good one, buddy. Go slip on a banana peel. We're talking about Endgame. What do you want?
Yeah.
Guess you didn't see that giant thumbnail and the title and everything else.
Yeah, it's a spoiler review for Endgame. I don't know what you want me to say.
So Halloween 2018. No,
okay, so now on Thanos. Thanos was different in this movie. Or I'll ask you guys this. Did you feel like Thanos was different in this movie than he was in Infinity War? I'll start that one with Cody.
Yeah, this movie, I said it in my review actually, this film, Thanos is more in the traditional spot of villain. He's the guy that we need to get to the third act to defeat, whereas Infinity War was quite literally his movie. He was the main character. All the story, all the conflict, all the arc and everything was pretty much surrounding him, and our Avengers were kind of side characters within the story trying to get to him and stop it. We had to go through all of his struggles with getting the stones, with his decision with Gamora, with kind of giving us his ideologies and why he's doing the things that he's doing. This film, he's quite literally the big bad that we have to get to in the third act and destroy. So yeah, it's a very different approach. He's the same character, but the way that they utilize him was different.
Yeah. I think Thanos, after this whole run, I'd say he's probably one of the most effective villains I've seen on screen in a long time. And I like that he wasn't the exact same character. Because like you said, Cody, this wasn't Thanos' movie. This was kind of a redemption movie and how these characters pick up the pieces after all this and bring their friends back. That's really what this is. And Thanos just happens to be a part of that. You know, I mean, at the end, they're actually fighting. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're fighting like the 2014 version of Thanos. Am I right on that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Guardians of the Galaxy version. Yeah.
So, I mean, that should kind of tell you there, too, that Thanos wasn't the main thing about this. You know, he was kind of... But he was the ultimate villain that they're fighting in the end. But, yeah, this was more about the Avengers, actually, which I loved. You know, I didn't want the same movie as Infinity War, you know.
No.
So, I'll throw that one to Durban, too. What were your thoughts on Thanos in this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, at first I thought it was really interesting that they killed him right up in the very beginning. And part of it is, you know, he's weaker and he's maimed. But the other part of it is, it was interesting because he was relaxed. He had his victory. He destroyed the stones.
Yeah.
He didn't care anymore. You can kill me. I don't care. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. You killing me won't change anything that has happened. And so it was kind of interesting because he didn't even flinch in the face of death. So I think it kind of just shows you like how strong of a character he is.
Yeah.
And he's very purpose driven. His purpose was fulfilled in the beginning. He didn't care what was going to happen to him. So, you know, for that fight to be so quick and so fast made perfect sense to me and actually gave his character more weight and strength for me because it was the completion of his character. And then we dive back in time and pull the 2014 Thanos into, you know, I guess it's the year 2024 by this point. I don't know.
Yeah,
but whatever year. Yeah, 23, 24. And when they take Thanos and bring him over there, we have that Thanos at that maturity level, at that level of what he knows and doesn't know. But we also get to see, like, how incredibly smart this guy is. He recognized there was something different going on with Nebula and just didn't look at that as a malfunction and actually investigated that. Then investigate it to the fullness so that he knew everything that unfolded. But then even in the little things where he's fighting Captain Marvel and he's like, okay, I'm totally outmatched. So he grabs the Power Stone out of the gauntlet and punches her with it. It's like the dude has such a wisdom about these things and how it works. And so to me, he is definitely one of the most interesting MCU characters.
Yeah, I think you hit on something there too. I think he's so interesting because he's highly intelligent. But yet he's also a brute. I mean, he's you know, he's a really strong dude. So, yeah, I like, you know, after all said and done, Thanos will go down as I think one of the most effective villains out there.
And Josh Brolin's performance makes all the more powerful. That dude was perfect for that part.
I'm glad you mentioned that too because I think just overall the performances in this movie were stronger than any other MCU movie. Like they really had to emote a lot of the, you know, because this is their friends dying. So, I mean. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance, Chris. I mean, everybody's performance. I thought across the board was amazing. So that was refreshing to me because at the end of the day, these are fun action movies. But yeah, it was nice to have that side of it. You know, if you want to watch more of a dramatic type of MCU film, this is probably a good one to throw in. So, next thing we're going to jump over is to. I want to talk about Ant-Man. And because this is 5 years later, we find out that Tony Stark has a daughter. So everybody's kind of settling in on their lives, you know. And then all of a sudden, this rat it just releases Ant-Man just out of the blue. And to me, Ant-Man was almost like that little beam of light that we needed in the movie, you know, because it was still kind of depressing up to this point. And then Ant-Man comes back and he's like, "Hey guys, I can bring our friends back." And I don't know. I personally, I think Ant-Man is great when he's in other people's movies.
You gonna finish that sandwich?
Yeah. Sean, let me get your thoughts on that, on Ant-Man in this movie, and if you like his individual movies, or do you prefer him in these types of movies?
I think Ant-Man's great. I mean, his movies aren't trying to be home runs. They're not trying to be the Avengers. They're intentionally, to use baseball analogies, they're trying to get a single, a double, and they do. They succeed, I think, on what they're going for, whereas some of the other MCU films have aimed to get a home run and they only get a double. They're still good. They're still on base, but they're not quite up to their ambitions. So I enjoy both of his films quite a bit, and I find them very rewatchable. And then because Paul Rudd is so likable in and of himself, and the character of Ant-Man is so innocent and, I don't know, like almost naive in the childlike and the way he carries himself, when you put him with a Steve Rogers who's just so serious and straight-laced, or someone as condescending as Tony Stark, there's just a lot of opportunities for fun interactions and stuff. So I always love it when Paul Rudd is on screen.
Oh yeah.
Even stuff like I'm sure we'll get into this, but like when Fat Thor is recalling the plot line of Thor: The Dark World, I'm thinking to myself, this is getting a bit stretched out. We don't need the dude recalling the plot line of the worst movie. And then it cuts to Paul Rudd, and I was like, okay, if we got this little happy reaction from Paul Rudd listening to a God of Thunder, like they made it kind of work. And so I always love it whenever Ant-Man shows up. I'm a big fan of his, and I'd be very excited if they actually did do a third Ant-Man movie, even though they don't do great at the box office compared to others.
Well, they're contained stories. They're not really.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, that they're trying for singles.
Yeah, I think Ant-Man, Scott Lang, is probably the most grounded, down-to-earth character. I mean, he's a fan of like Captain America. He gushes when, and he kind of represents us.
And Captain America's body too. So that's
yes. Well, Captain America likes his own body too, apparently.
That scene was so funny, man.
You know how hard it is to have this with these two guys in here? It's
I know.
Body.
I'll say it. That's America's ass.
That's America's ass.
Yes.
But that's one of the great things about the MCUs. They're not afraid of comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
If there's a joke to be told, we're gonna get it out. Whereas DC kind of holds back a little bit. At least they did in the earlier movies.
Yeah.
And I think it fails for DC because it doesn't feel as natural. Whereas for some reason they have this flow in the MCU, the Marvel movies, with the comedy, and I think that's because these characters have been built, so well that when they crack a joke or something like that, it still feels genuine. It doesn't feel forced. So I think that's why it works so well. Now let's talk about time travel, because Scott Lang comes in and he comes up with this great plan, and he talks to Tony Stark. Now, as far as the time travel, I loved that they didn't get too techie with it. Let's give the audience just a couple sentences of how we're going to do this, and then let's just go do it. Cody, I'll throw this one at you. Like, what did you feel about as far as the time travel? Were you a little worried about presenting time travel in an Avengers movie?
No, actually, I love the fact that they did that, because time travel movies are like one of my favorite subgenres ever. So the fact that I tried not to speculate too much. I actually went into this movie as blind as possible. The marketing did a fantastic job at allowing us to do that, thank God. But I walked in and I didn't really try to have too many theories about what was going to happen. Whenever they actually pretty much said, we're going to do some time travel, I was like, that's awesome, because I love whenever you get a good time travel story. I think they did a good job at not getting overly complicated with the rules, while also bringing in some of the tropes of that genre, some of the jokes. Like they make very direct references to Back to the Future and even Hot Tub Time Machine, and there is some
and Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
Yeah, and Die Hard.
There is some plot conveniences / plot holes that come with time travel, but you can't get rid of them, because there's no way to 100% define time travel, what it does and everything like that. But once they pretty much started going into where they're going to go back to like the Avengers, they're going to go back to Thor: The Dark World, they're going to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy, I thought that whole section of the movie was a blast.
Yeah, as far as time travel movies go, I think Endgame might be the least involved. Like, it's almost like they don't even care about it as much. They just want to present it, give you just a valid explanation, and then just move on from it. Because in a lot of other movies, there's a lot of freaking math and all kinds of stuff involved with it. Mm-hmm. A lot of theories and dimensions and all that. But this is just like they glossed right over it. And it was almost a negative to me. Like, I'm surprised I don't see more opinions on this movie as far as the time travel goes.
You will
in the negative, because they're saying if they kill baby Thanos, it won't affect anything.
That was confusing. I was like, they tried to present that in the beginning, like you can't actually change the past, and so I try to follow that conversation.
You can't change the present by changing the past.
Right, and so that was, okay, yeah, that makes so much sense what you just said, Sean, and then you also tied my brain in a knot, because I'm trying to comprehend.
It ties your brain in a knot because every other time travel movie gives you the opposite rules.
But
it says, if you go back and step on a butterfly,
you take Gamora out of 2014, then you don't get those movies, and yet the present is unchanged, and I'm trying to comprehend that.
But that's what they're saying, is that it's set. The present is set, and therefore that's why they can do that, and it doesn't change that. That's why Loki in 2012 grabs the Tesseract, disappears, cuts and runs, and it doesn't, like, so now we have a stream by which Loki can show up back in another TV show, but it doesn't change the present. So
yeah, it's like they were setting up this little thing so they could use it later in a different property, and because and otherwise, why in the hell would they even have Loki do that? You know,
because they never came back to it.
Yeah, it's strange. It's unique. It's like ripples in time don't really play a part in this movie, you know?
But see, I always kind of thought that about time travel. Like, how could you change the past? Because if you travel to the past, it's part of the past that you were in the past. That's just the past. So you can't change the past because that's the past.
You just hurt my brain.
I know.
It's all in the past, man. Just leave it there.
It takes the opposite approach of most time travel movies. Most time travel movies take the very basic premise of, if you go back and you take a dump on your neighbor's lawn that wasn't there before, then all of a sudden 800 people aren't going to exist. You know, it's every little effect in the past affects the present, where this film basically says, no, this timeline is solid. Nothing can change it. If you go back, you're basically creating an alternate, and
Captain America fights Captain America.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more people once the excitement of this movie dies down. There's probably some of them already, but you're going to see a lot more people start to pick apart the time travel stuff. And I'll just say that I think the movie does a damn good job at acknowledging the fact that there's probably small little holes here and there, but they're necessary to get the conclusions that we need for the movie. So if you get the conclusions at the end of this film and you're more worried about the little tiny plot holes about the time travel and that messes up the conclusion, then I guess the movie just doesn't work for you.
That's why I call them plot opportunities, not plot holes.
Exactly. It's like, that's such a what's the word I'm looking for? Optimistic way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Plot opportunities. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation had a lot of plot opportunities. If I'm getting right down to it. Hey, Pym's particles, okay? Somebody break that down for me. What the hell were Pym's particles?
Time travel juice.
That's what I thought. Okay, so but each person had to have their own Pym's particles, right?
Mm-hmm. They had just enough for everybody to get 2 trips.
Okay, that's
right. And in going back to the beginning of the first Ant-Man, Hank Pym won't tell anyone what his formula is.
Yeah.
And so that's the opening sequence where they tried to steal his stuff. He's like, no, you cannot have my stuff. I don't trust anyone with it. And then you also get later into the movie where they were trying to replicate his technology and he wouldn't share it. But, it's the magic plot device that means no one else can do what they're doing except when they want other people to do it.
Yeah.
It's about a teaspoon per trip.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to get into Thor and the Hulk. This is what I've been waiting for. This is going to be interesting. I'm sure we have different opinions on these 2 characters in this movie, so I want to hear from everybody on this one, okay? We'll start with Thor. I'll start with Durbin. All right, Durbin, I need to hear your thoughts on what they did with Thor in this movie. Did you think that Thor was going to stay fat through the rest of the movie? I got questions. Go ahead.
When he first showed up and we saw that big old belly, I was in stitches just laughing hysterically. I thought that was the greatest thing, and oh my gosh, I loved it. And it was kind of like, for me, what I liked about it was this. First off, I liked that he stayed fat the whole way through and that it wasn't some magic workout routine that made him strong and muscular. So he was fat and he had to deal with that. Yeah. And, putting him in his armor at the end was great. But here's what I liked about it. Thor Ragnarok is a fun movie, but what irks me when I watch that movie is the lack of balance. They lean so heavy on the slapstick that I miss the weight of his father died, his friends died, his home got blown up. I mean, it's such a huge and weighty, epic plot, and I missed the balance. I love the slapstick, and I don't want to lose any of the slapstick, but I also wanted more of the balance to feel the weight of the film. And I feel like by making Thor fat in this, he could be this incredibly hilarious fat guy and have some of the funniest lines in the movie. But by that same token, when he calls to himself Mjolnir and then he calls to himself Stormbreaker, he has some of the most epic scenes. When he sees his mother, it's half hilarious and half will bring tears to your eyes. That was the balance I wanted in Ragnarok.
I don't know. I think I would say the opposite for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Ragnarok is consistently kind of has the goofy tone to it, so I was okay with it. And it does undercut some of the drama that should be. And that's the biggest problem with that movie. But I would say that, like, it so overplays the comedic side of it that it comes off like an SNL parody of Thor. That's like, hey, what if Thor got fat? Like, it feels like and he turns into the Big Lebowski's the dude. I mean, it just went so far to me that it kind of pulled me out of a lot of it.
Jeff Mayer, Super Chat, $2 says Thor went Batman and Robin. I wouldn't go that far, but
no, yeah,
Batman Forever, maybe. No.
Which, by the way, if he has Mjolnir from the 2012 version of Thor, how is 2012 version of him? If he has it in the future,
now you get into the time travel.
You can't
Cap,
don't do
Cap
it.
Went to go. I assume Cap went to go put it back. That's why he had it whenever he had the Pym particles and he had all the stones, and then whenever he showed up at the very end, he didn't have the hammer.
He put everything back.
So I see your plot hole and say, "Ha, sir."
Well, he didn't have
plot opportunity.
Yeah.
Infinity Geek says, I think Fat Thor looks good because it resembles an actual Norse god like Odin.
You know? There is a certain reality there. Yes.
I'm going to speak on behalf of about, 55% of the chat. Sean, they love that you hear.
Oh, sweet.
Inevitable Hulk. We're going to get to the Hulk, buddy. Don't you worry. Oh, my God. I got some things to say about the Hulk. And I'm going to fanboy, but yeah, we're going to get there.
Well, let me go ahead and streamline it so we can get to the Hulk then. Thor, I had a pretty big issue with what they did to Thor because Thor, especially after Thor Ragnarok and through some of his things that he's done, like in Infinity War and some of the Avengers films, has quickly become like maybe my third favorite character in the entire universe behind, the big two, Cap and Iron Man. But it really bugged me. And this is where I say the MCU, they're great at doing humor, but they also let the humor get in their own way sometimes, and they decide to put too much humor, especially in a movie like this where everything is really deep and there's a lot of weight. Yeah. Sometimes too much humor can undercut that. Yep. I thought that the Thor gag of him being a fat drunk was hilarious for the first scene, but the fact that they kept it and they laid it on thick and they turned everything up to 11 for the rest of the film, I feel like it was one of those jokes, like a recurring joke that didn't need to be a recurring joke. It's like, okay, it was funny when we first saw him, but you can tone it down for the rest of the movie. Right. When he sees his mom, we shouldn't be seeing him cry, I'm totally from the future, stuff like that.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, but I will say, though, Thor gets one thing that Hulk doesn't, which we'll get into, is that at least in the third act, when things go nuts, he becomes regular Thor again. He's kicking ass. He's got both of his weapons. He's got his armor on. He's not really fat Thor anymore. He's fat underneath the armor, but he's not like this bumbling idiot getting knocked back and forth in the fight the whole time. As soon as that scene comes when Captain America, Iron Man, and Thor are walking towards Thanos saying, we're going to kick this dude's ass, from then to the end of the movie, he's Thor. So at least by the end, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, and they got his armor on him and everything, so I guess they kind of cover up the belly a little bit. But here's my take on Thor in this movie. My knee-jerk reaction was I didn't like it. Like, it was fun. Like, for that first scene, I was like, oh, they're going to do this funny thing, and then he's going to get his normal size back, and then we're going to go through the rest of the movie. And they held strong through it, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but they held strong throughout the whole thing of Thor being fat. And then I got to thinking about it when I got home. I was like, well, who was Thor in Infinity War? He was really the guy that pretty much saved the day. Like, everybody was like, oh my God, when he comes with that bolt of lightning down and just wipes out hundreds of Thanos's, crew, it was amazing. And I remember my theater just erupted during that scene. Oh, yeah. So do we do that again with Thor? No, we don't, I don't think. I think this was more of Captain America and Tony's movie. So let's have some fun with Thor this time. Let's introduce some of that Thor Ragnarok flavor back in there. So it kind of worked.
Fully agree with that. Yeah.
It also sends the message that he let himself go because he chops the head off of Thanos, and it still doesn't make any difference.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it showed that emotional weight of what he'd been through mentally through all of that.
Right.
I mean, he tried to pretend he was fine and be all funny and fall back on his Thor Ragnarok charm, but you can see it's a cover for, just how he just feels like a failure.
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's my feelings on
Big
Thor.
gulps, huh?
Big gulps, cool. Now don't you go dying on me now. Okay, now we're gonna get to the Hulk, and I'm sure I'm gonna be the most passionate about this thing. Let me
realize what you've done.
Yeah. You know what? I'll start with you guys first, and then I'll come around to me with my opinions on the Hulk, because I'm gonna give you my backstory with the guy. I'm gonna, everything. So I'm gonna start this one with Sean. First off, are you a fan of the Hulk before the MCU? And then what did you feel about what they did with the Hulk in this movie?
I'm not like specifically a Hulk fan, but I'm not specifically a fan of most of the Avengers. I think they've just made great movies that have made them interesting characters.
Yeah.
I watched there was a 90s animated cartoon. I watched the Bixby show, live action show from the 70s and early 80s, and all the TV movies with all of that. And so I went into it just excited to have fun with the character a little bit. And I think that for the most part, I enjoy the Incredible Hulk more than most people. And then they found ways to use him in other people's films just fine. And so what did I think about Professor Hulk in this one? After kind of the first shock of like, whoa, what are they doing right now? And that scene, the diner scene probably being too long and kind of getting a little bit cringy where it's like, let's take selfies and that overplayed a little bit, but once I just got into it, I think I was fine with Professor Hulk. I had fun with it. Wasn't something with like Fat Thor stuck with me. The Thor Bowski, like every time he would show up on screen, I would be like, what? Like it would pull me out. I'd be reminded of like, I'm not sure if I like this because it was so thick, as Cody said. But with Professor Hulk, I just went with it after that first scene. I was on board with it, so I think I dug it. And it evolves the characters. It has a comic book origin. There was an explanation into the movie as to why the transformation took place. And it would make sense that this nerdy scientist would suddenly be a lot more at peace once he accepted who he was. Yeah. So I was down with it.
Part of me thinks, because of the legal issues they have with the Hulk as a character, maybe that kind of holds them back. I don't know if because he did do some awesome stuff in the first Avengers, and we do have that nice Hulkbuster scene in Age of Ultron. But it just seems like even in the first Avengers, it seems like the Hulk always gets beaten. And when you go back and look at the comics, this is a guy that's just like he's like ripping Wolverine in half. He's one of the most intimidating characters. If you look at like rankings lists of most powerful characters in Marvel. He's always in there. So it feels like the MCU really held him back, and I don't know if that was because of the legal issues or what. Now I'll throw this one to Cody as far as the Hulk, because I know Captain America is your guy, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How did you feel about, I guess, the way the Hulk was dealt with in this?
I wasn't a big fan of it. To me, it almost feels like they just want to have Bruce Banner around, but they're kind of handcuffed to the Hulk, so they don't really know what to do with him. It wouldn't have been as bad if he didn't almost completely left out of the movie in Infinity War. He had that one fight in the first 5 minutes, and then he was, afraid to come out, which, if you're a big Hulk fan, is kind of a little bit of a slap in the face. But to me, if you view Infinity War and Endgame as one complete story, and they're just divided in half, like with Captain America, he was kind of in the background a little bit with Infinity War. You get to Endgame, they balance the scales quite a bit, and they make him much more of a presence. Same thing with Thor. Thor had a lot of the badass scenes, a lot more focus, a lot more character development and grief and everything in Infinity War. In Endgame, they kind of play jokes with him a little bit, and then they bring him back at the end. But the Hulk kind of gets screwed in both movies in my mind. Like the first movie, he has the fight with Thanos, he gets defeated, which is a good way to show how powerful Thanos is. But then the Hulk is afraid to come back out. We never get to see the Hulk again. And then you get to Endgame, and it's played for jokes the entirety of the movie. I don't even really remember if he got to do anything cool in the battle. But it just felt like they wanted to have Bruce Banner in the movie and kind of a little bit of Hulk, and I don't feel like they kind of wanted to have their cake and eat it too, and it didn't quite work for me. It wasn't quite as cringy as some of the worst parts with Fat Hulk or Fat Thor, but just the fact that we never really got Hulk rage in this, like we never got like towards the end, like if they had done the same thing they did with Thor, where the battle starts and all of a sudden, all right, Hulk is pissed now, and we get the Hulk, and the Hulk is just tearing dudes apart, like that would have made up for it just fine, but we never got that, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah.
You are not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So yeah, it's just it's a disappointment, because whenever you get to this movie, I mean, this for all intents and purposes is the conclusion of the past 11 years, and it just kind of feels like Hulk as a character just got kind of like, all right, we don't have anything to do with Hulk. Just
he's just
think
there.
Of something
There's
funny.
no like closure for the character really. It's strange. It's tough because Hulk does have a lot of fans. I mean, I've even seen like most popular Marvel characters, and it's always he's in the top 3. It's Spider-Man.
And it kind of felt, it kind of felt like a missed opportunity too. We haven't got to this scene yet, but whenever he comes to the realization that Black Widow has sacrificed himself, like he never gets that rage moment. Like that's what I was expecting in the third act. Like, okay, when he sees Thanos and he really starts to hone in on the fact that my love gave her life and she's not coming back. Like there's no snap that's bringing her back so that we could defeat you. Now I'm going to rip your ass a new one. And we just never got that. Like he just kind of has a moment where he's like, well, I tried to get her back, but it just didn't work. And it kind of made that whole plot line from Avengers Age of Ultron till now just kind of feel like an afterthought.
Well, I mean, if you think back to like the 2008 movie too, which as a Hulk fan, I love that movie because it introduced so many things. It had the super soldier serum in there. You had the leader in there. And that's just one of those plot lines that they just left and they never pursued. And I thought if they did another Hulk movie, everything that was kind of left open to simmer at the end of that movie would have made for a great next movie, actually, because the leader's a very interesting character too. So, but the big thing for me is growing up as a kid, I used to watch the Incredible Hulk TV series with my dad, and I was a kid picked on when I would go to school, not like excessively or anything like that, but we've all had those moments. And,
not me,
except for CJ. And Hulk was my idol because Hulk. When Bill Bixby, he was just this normal guy. Not Bill Bixby, I'm sorry. Bruce Banner. He was just this normal scientist guy. He had no strength. And in order for him to turn into the Hulk, he would have to be, attacked or picked on or whatever. And so to me, that was just so relatable. And then I remember watching the TV show when I was a kid, and when he'd have those Hulk out moments, there's this emotion there, because he had been hurt or whatever. And as a kid, I really just related to that, and it could be a time thing because this was early '80s when I used to watch this show. So you guys probably weren't around for that, but the character stayed with me throughout all these years. And then when they came with these 2 movies, I didn't really care for the 2003 movie. That one was just all over the place. But they focused on what the TV show was all about in the 2008 movie, and they even had like the theme in there. But they had the Hulk out. And one thing I miss is the Hulk out. We had the Hulk out in the Avengers movie, but then ever since then, you don't get that at all. So what Cody was saying about, if Bruce Banner, had this relationship with Black Widow and her dying, I don't mind a Professor Hulk in this movie. I'd never said I wanted full-on Hulk the whole movie. Yeah, started out with Professor Hulk. That's fine, but let's bring out that rage at some point. And what better than her death? So that end scene when you have 3 of the 4 core Avengers walking towards Thanos, and I remember I was just sitting in the theater watching this, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to bring out the Hulk because he's the 4th. You got to have all 4 of them at Thanos. The 3 are going to fight him, and then the Hulk's going to come in and do his thing. And I literally thought I would have bet you probably $100 that was going to happen. And when it didn't happen, I just felt like somebody punched me right in the gut. So, yeah, it was. I had to deal with it emotionally for a while there, just because this is the last movie. So what do you do with the Hulk after this movie? He didn't have that vindication of that beginning when he fights Thanos. Thanos hands his ass to him, and then at the end of this, it could have been the ultimate vindication. So, CP, I'll go to you on this. Am I a little bit too sensitive?
Well, I mean, I'll trace back to what Sean said earlier in the stream.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah, you. Yes. Hi, Sean. Can you say hi to me in the chat, please?
Will do.
So do you want the movie to tell you a story, or do you want fan service? Do you want a certain thing to happen? See, like, I don't have anything invested, so like I was fine with both Thor and Hulk. I was just going for the ride. But if you go in there saying, "Man, I hope Hulk does this," does it even matter? Like, I'm not asking like in a challenging way. If you get what you want and the movie isn't good, what's more important?
Yeah, I think there's opportunity to have both, because I will say this: like he said, I'm the Captain America fan. I think we all are, but that's my character. Where I walk into this movie going, he better have some awesome moments. And if they had done to Captain America what they did to Hulk, despite all the amazing things this movie did, I would still walk out with a little bit of a rock in my chest, like, man, why? And I get it. Like, there was multiple opportunities for just one awesome Hulk scene, and it felt like everybody that needed one of those scenes got one, but Hulk was kind of regulated to comedic relief.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, you got 3 of the 4 Avengers, so this is the Avengers. Why not have the Avengers, all 4 of them, fight him in some way? So, I know I'm on a rant here about that, but yeah, that was my big thing. Next thing I want to go to is the character Nebula, and I really love this character.
We have 302 people watching right now.
Are you kidding me?
Awesome.
Yep.
I don't even have YouTube up.
We got 297 at the moment, but yeah, we had 302 for a second.
I literally thought we probably had like 50. That's insane.
Every stream.
It's Endgame.
It is Endgame.
Wow, that's true. That's true. Well, hey, I want to thank everybody for watching, man. That's freaking awesome. That's amazing. 300 people watching. Gee, now I'm nervous. What the heck?
So when I did my end of the year ranking of all the movies, I had like 1,500 watching live.
Oh my god!
And it's like,
well, you know what, Sean, and we all work our butts off. I'm not saying it, but I'll say, Sean, you devoted yourself to a certain sect of YouTube, that being, Marvel. I mean, you do everything. You do every week you do the new releases, you do all that stuff, but you really put a lot of work into Marvel, and I think your fans appreciate that. And so I'm not surprised at all that you got 1,500 people watching. I mean, because when I type in Marvel, you're one of the first people that pop up. You're
excellent.
You've earned that. So, yeah.
Thank you. It's been crazy this last week. This might have been my best week ever on the YouTube. So,
Oh, I'm sure. I remember, and I don't think Cody will mind me saying this, but I remember when you dropped your non-spoiler review, and Cody goes in the chat and he's like, "It's 4 minutes and he's already got 4,000 views. Let us know how 200,000 feels like, Sean, please."
I said the same thing to Sean. I was like, "Dude, you've got like 100,000 views in like 12 hours."
That is insane. Yeah, it's like you can't even and I'm not saying that was a fluke for you, but I remember when I first started my channel, when I was getting like 50 views a video, I woke up one morning for some reason and I had 10,000 views on a Halloween 2 review, and I was just like, 50 views, 10,000 overnight. That's got to be a glitch.
Dude, I still remember the days when I'd post a video and I'd refresh after like an hour and I'm like, "Oh, I got one more view." Like,
yeah, man, me too, man.
That's where whenever my channel's about a month old, I did a review of Jean-Claude Van Johnson, the pilot that they did for Amazon Prime, and then my family left for SeaWorld for the weekend. And I'm getting 10 views on a video, and 3 of those are me and 3 are my mom. And I post this very random thing. Jean-Claude Van Johnson. Go to SeaWorld, check my phone again, and it has 5,000 views the next day. I was like, what just happened? Like, what, 5,000 views? What? And his mind blown. And, yeah.
Well, just to bring it right back around to the Hulk, my most viewed video on YouTube, not video, but review, is a review for a TV episode of The Incredible Hulk. I reviewed this episode called The First, where there's like 2 Hulks. There's a bad Hulk and a good Hulk. And I thought I'd get like 5 views out of that thing. And it's still, to this day, it keeps getting views. And it's like 67,000 views now. for a TV episode, and that being because when you search for that episode, I'm the only thing that pops up.
Super chat, thanks to.
Go ahead.
Super chat, thanks to Valentine Voss. 229, I think that's euros. Endgame came in higher than Captain America.
Civil War.
Civil War in only 4 days. Technically, it's 3 days, but
no surprise
good
there.
Call. Believe in the hype. Haven't seen the movie, but just wanted to drop in and say, hey, keep up the awesome work.
Thank you.
Sorry, go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
Lee would be happy to know my top 2 videos are Halloween related. I've got my Halloween ranking that I did the first time I watched like 2 or 3 of the movies, and that's got 168K. And then whenever I bitched about Jamie Lee Curtis being announced to come back, it's got 83,000. So
and I was like, how dare Cody have more views on a Halloween video than me? That's just wrong. That's awesome though. Just to throw it back to Endgame, I wanted to talk about Nebula because I think Nebula is one of the most interesting characters, and I didn't realize that back in 2014 with Guardians of the Galaxy. And she's one of these characters that keeps popping up here and there, and now I find her so interesting. And I'm going to throw this one to Durbin. Why do you think Nebula is so interesting? And do you want to know more?
Man, I do want to know more.
Thank you.
I mean, what made Nebula so interesting to me in this movie especially is because, you get to the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and, she tries to murder her sister, and they end up becoming friends and all that stuff. So it's like, it's a huge growing moment for her, huge character arc moment. And then who knows what was going on in her mentally when Thanos was torturing her and finding out, about Vormir and all that stuff. But what made her so interesting to me, especially in this movie, was to have this grown-up, more matured version of Nebula face off the 2014 version of herself that is still so insecure she's seeking her daddy's approval.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And so it was interesting because I would hate to face my past immature self. And now here she is facing her past immature self. So you really get to see how much she's grown. You get to see where she was, and you get to see this actress played those 2 parts.
Yeah,
but
Will Smith's
going to do it. Is it suicide if you shoot yourself from 2014?
Apparently, if you can't change the present by changing the past, then
this
apparently
is not Looper.
It's all in the past.
Yeah, I wonder if that's like a controversial thing because I didn't hear too much chatter about that, about her shooting herself.
Neither did I.
And it's a strange thing that you would go back and shoot yourself. you know?
I like
and
the
her
R2
look on her
moment we
face
got.
was great.
What'd you say, CP?
I like the R2 moment we got where she was shooting out the projection.
Oh,
I got a Star Wars vibe from that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's
Help me, Captain America. You're my only hope.
yeah.
CP, what are your thoughts on Nebula? And would you like a Nebula movie?
Nope.
That's it. No?
It's fine. Next Guardians. Next question. They don't want to hear me talk. Next person. Let's go.
Oh, stop it. CP, I literally have people like weekly say, "What is that guy's channel?" And damn, that CP dude is funny as hell.
I don't count, Lee. In this scenario, I don't count. But you're very sweet. Thank you.
You always count.
No, I really have no opinion one way or another.
Okay. I'll throw it to Cody then. As far as Nebula goes, do you like her? Does she interest you?
I like her. She interests me. I don't want a standalone Nebula movie, but she's a character. When she first showed up in Guardians of the Galaxy, she was kind of I wouldn't say she was an interesting character at all. She was just like, oh, okay, it's Gamora's sister and she's evil. That's interesting. And then you get to Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and one of the comedic moments in that I thought worked really well was that when they revealed that this burning rage that she has, this hatred for her sister, is literally nothing but sibling rivalry. And I thought that was really funny. And then when she kind of became part of the Avengers, you get through Infinity War, and then especially this movie where she's actively trying to stop her father's plan. She even has to win the love of her sister. I thought that was really cool. So I'm interested in seeing more with her in another Guardians of the Galaxy film. But I don't need a Nebula origin story or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't need that either. But she was interesting in this movie for sure.
Mm-hmm. Am I the only one, unless Sean agrees with me, that would just because this is a person that's pretty much all machine now, whereas at one time she wasn't, so I would love like an origin story of her and how she ended up the way she did, and you could have Thanos in there and you could have Gamora. To me, I think that would be a really interesting movie, actually.
It's all in the past, Lee.
All right. Hey, they're going to do a Black Widow movie, right?
Oh.
Maybe.
Well, do we have a a private segment for that Soul Stone moment? Because
we're gonna talk about that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Never mind. I'll put a pin in it.
So, Sean, are you the same thing with Nebula? Am I alone in this?
You're alone. I'm sorry, man.
God, I can't believe this.
I mean, I'd be fine with her showing up in more Guardians movies, but if they announced that they were doing a Nebula standalone, I'd probably be mad.
That sounds like a UC move.
I would have preferred a Nebula standalone over a Captain Marvel movie. I'm being honest.
Well, I think we'll all agree with that, but
but I mean, it's one of those ones of the opportunity costs of all the things you could do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe now, especially now you got X-Men, Fantastic Four coming into the mix.
Yeah,
everything they could possibly do. If they said, "And we're going to do Nebula," I'd be like, "What? Why?
You lost me.
Why? Please no."
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. I thought for sure that like at least 3 of you'd be like, "Yeah, give me that Nebula movie. I'd be all over that." Let's jump into what CP was talking about.
I will say, I didn't even think about this. They did confirm they're doing a Loki show on the Disney Plus thing, and they obviously set it up here. I would not be opposed to her showing up in that Loki show because they both have kind of the same sibling rivalry thing.
That's true.
How do you guys feel about that? About a TV show of the same actors that were in the movies?
We'll see. I need to see one before I hold judgment. I have superhero TV fatigue.
Yeah, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't really do anything for me.
CW ended me on that. Like I'm done with this. I could do Daredevil. I like Netflix Daredevil, but I am done with the other Netflix shows of the superheroes.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And those CW shows, the DC shows,
they started great, which is what's most tragic. Arrow season 1 and 2, I loved.
Yeah, I agree.
Flash season 1 and 2, I loved, and then they both lost me.
Well, that's the problem. When you have 24 episodes, it's hard to make 24 quality episodes. And Arrow's a great example, though, because so much potential in that show. I remember that episode where he's fighting Ra's al Ghul on that cliff, and Ra's al Ghul kills him. I was like, wow, that's good TV right there. You know they're going to bring him back, but still. So
answer the question.
What did CP say?
I said answer the question, Sean.
Which one are we on? What's
Creed from The Office or Iron Man?
John, Mighty Mouse or Godzilla?
Sometimes
apple pie or fried chicken.
I just don't know how to. They're too different. I don't know where to go with that one. But yeah, as for TV shows, all the Disney Plus ones, I'm very interested in the concept of these Disney Plus shows because they're going to be so tied and they're taking cinematic characters, but giving them TV shows. So I'm interested in them because for that reason. But when they announced like 6 of them and all of them kind of like, what? What? I don't fully understand what we're doing with this. And it's like, wait, Loki's dead right now and we're going to give him a TV show, and this guy's dead and we're going to give him a TV show. And I heard that WandaVision is going to be set in the 1950s or something like that, and I just don't know what to make of any of this. I'm generically very excited, but specifically not really actually excited for any of them, which is a very weird sensation on the inside.
No, I will agree with you on that one, Sean. We do agree on that.
Yes.
Let's talk about Black Widow. I'm glad CP brought that up, and that is one of my. I got Hawkeye and Black Widow right here on my kill list. I will say, like, that scene really surprised me. I did not expect Black Widow to die. And then at the end, they got this big funeral for Tony Stark. Ooh. But they forgot, they almost forgot Black Widow's name. You know, it's just like...
Yeah.
Was that kind of strange to you guys?
No, because I kind of forgot about Black Widow
true.
by that point.
It felt strange to me that they went on the journey to get the Soul Stone with it being pretty common knowledge what it took to get the Soul Stone, and were surprised when they got there what it took to get the Soul Stone.
I completely agree.
It's pretty common knowledge that they all even acknowledge it. Thanos went there with with Gamora and came back without her. So I mean, it was pretty implied, and I'm pretty sure Nebula had those conversations with everybody. Maybe they didn't, but it didn't take away from the scene for me. But when they got there and they were like, oh my God, this is what it takes. I was like, well, no shit. You didn't know that? Like,
You didn't read the freaking pamphlet?
Yeah. I'm surprised. Like, hey, who's our least favorite Avenger? Hey,
according to the instructions here, to get the Soul Stone, one of us has to die. Any takers?
Yeah. It was something, you had to sacrifice something you loved. So they were trying to commit suicide. So what, their sacrifice was that they loved themselves? Another plot opportunity.
They couldn't have brought a rat in their pocket or something?
No, Black Widow.
Well, Hawkeye just throws his bow and arrow off the cliff and all is good.
Let's move forward, guys.
Yeah,
I
Black
did
Widow
like the
and
fight though for Suicide because
It reminded me of
I kept
Armageddon.
wondering who's gonna die, and it really did have me. I was like, I knew one of those two was gonna die as soon as they landed on Vormir. I just didn't know who. So like the scene is kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, wow, which one of these characters is gonna bite the dust? They both have good claim to die,
and they're both fighting each other to keep them from dying. So it's like a Bizarro fight.
Yeah.
It's like
kind of
Armageddon,
strange.
the end of Armageddon.
The interesting thing is too, though, that like they give
right
Hawkeye, they give Hawkeye more plot development and character development in this one than I think he's gotten ever. So
Yeah.
if you would have asked all of us before we even saw the movie, like, hey, if there was a scene in the movie where either Black Widow or Hawkeye is going to die, who's going to bite it? I think all of us would vote Hawkeye because we know that Black Widow is more beloved, I guess. You know, she's getting her own movie and everything like that. But you get to the movie, and when it got to that scene, I was like, well, they have a lot more opportunity to keep Hawkeye alive now because all these things that he has to get to the end, all the things that he's fighting for. And it was an interesting little switch they did there.
Yeah. Well, not to disagree with you, Cody, but to disagree with you. I always found Hawkeye way more interesting than Black Widow. And maybe it's because I didn't grow up on the comics and didn't have that attachment. But even when Hawkeye was the bad guy in Avengers, I like Jeremy Renner. Like, I just like the charisma he brought to that role, even when he was a brainwashed bad guy and then back into Age of Ultron. I always really liked Hawkeye, and I always liked him way better than Black Widow.
Oh, I agree. Can I tell you my favorite Hawkeye moment?
Sure.
Okay, over in Age of Ultron, when they're in the middle of the big battle in Sokovia, and he's got Scarlet Witch like right next to him, and he tells Scarlet Witch, he's like, you know, you need to toughen up because all these people with powers are around me. All I got is a bow and arrow. But I'm going to get my ass out there and I'm going to fight. So you need to do it too, sister, because you're probably one of the most powerful people here. I think I quoted him verbatim too, by the way.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
It was great.
That
I was like, Hawkeye is pretty cool in my book after that scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he's like the normal guy. They haven't given him a story arc, but he fits the role since Ultron of being like the guy that actually goes home to a family.
Yeah.
Which was that was the only interesting thing kind of about him, is that the joke that he's the guy with the bow and arrow. But they used that so well with Infinity War because suddenly he then becomes every one of our experiences about like what happened, like what if our family was gone? And because you have all these heroes that don't have a family to have that very human personal connection to loss. So you have the generic sense of they failed and people died. For Hawkeye, it's my kids vanished and my wife vanished right in front of me. And so that's so much more relatable than than these big emotions of so much of the other stuff here. So then it makes his journey in the film really impactful and much more interesting.
And by the way, wasn't that intro like perfect?
Yes.
With him
when they showed
doing the bow and arrow with
like
his daughter?
Yeah, when I saw him and his family enjoying a picnic, I was like, "Oh no!"
Oh, no.
And just this is the opening of the movie. Like to me, that totally set the tone of the movie, and I was really happy that they weren't going to play it for jokes or be like, screw it, we'll get him back." You know what I mean? Not like the play it for laughs kind of thing or play it lighter than it actually was. Like right out of the gate, they're showing the ramifications of what Thanos did with the most small scale way possible. Yeah. We didn't get like a overhead shot of Wakanda and people are disappearing. We didn't get like multiple planets and everybody's gone. No, we just show Hawkeye, 2 kids, and a wife, and that's enough.
Yeah.
That's why Hawkeye works so well because you get the MCU. You got this huge world with space and all this great stuff, and these guys that are like gods. But how do you make it relatable? Hawkeye. He's the guy that makes it relatable. He's us. So, I want to talk about now. We're at the end of this. If we have time, I want to talk a little bit about that Star Wars trailer because we didn't really get a chance to last time.
1.2 billion worldwide. That number is out. 1.2 billion so far worldwide.
Did it make 300 domestic?
350.
350.
Oh my God! It made 350 domestic.
Yeah.
Holy crap! That's insane. Hold on, I'm gonna do a back.
Yeah.
That's crazy. 350. I can't even digest that right now.
That's an estimate. It could be higher or lower, but it's 350.
I mean, that's just like throwing the record out the window.
Yeah, good luck, Avatar 2.
By almost 100.
Yeah.
It helps that there was theaters playing it for like 72 hours straight, too.
Yeah, that is very true.
I was trying to go to see it again, and the 3 theaters around me, whether I go 10 miles that way, 10 miles that way, or 10 miles that way, they were all sold out. And I mean, they were doing excessive numbers of showings. There was a showing starting like every 15 minutes, and every single one of them was either sold out or only had handicapped seating. I mean, and I've never seen that before.
Oh yeah, it's breaking all the records. Pretty much.
This is our Empire.
Is it morally wrong to get a wheelchair so that you can see the movie?
Let me ask you guys this question real quick.
I've got a boot in my closet because I broke my foot a couple years ago. So I should have put the boot on and gotten that nice center seat right there.
There you go.
I want to make a video of somebody doing that, like sneaking in to get the handicap spot, and then whenever we get the Captain America Mjolnir scene, they stand up and go, yeah! They sit back down.
Since we're talking about box office, let me ask you guys this. Do you think, because of the money this movie made, do you think they'll try to get Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. to come back in any way?
They better not. And if they do, that'll ruin it for me. They better never do something like that.
It's not.
But you'll be there opening night.
I don't think it's Chris Evans or Tony Stark that's necessarily selling the movie. It's just it's everything that they've built up to this point. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a cog in the wheel for sure, but they can do it again as long as they're careful with another
their closure was so good. Yeah. It's too risky to undo their closure.
Even kind of cut it to Cody's point, this movie's already surpassed Civil War. So it's not just that those 2 guys are there with everybody else having a big adventure. It's all the pieces together. It's that it was the closure. So maybe they will do something 10 years from now when it's like, now we're closing out phase 6. This is the end of an even bigger era. And they'll do something bonkers and they'll go to multiple timelines. Maybe they would do something like that. But I don't think there's going to be anything in the near time future where they're going to try and mess with that. Unless what they might do, I could see with Chris Evans, they've created an opportunity where you do this Wander Vision show in the 1950s, and you have Steve Rogers show up in that. But it's like little cameo stuff, or you have him as an old mentor in little cameo stuff. But I think both of those guys want to be done too.
I would not be surprised if Chris Evans is coming back though, because A, the guy doesn't have the biggest career outside of this. B, I'd say $50 million of that gross was because of Captain America in this movie, because every time the guy did anything in this movie, the crowd just went freaking nuts.
Oh, yeah.
People love Chris Evans as Captain
Mjolnir,
America.
Man. Oh, my gosh. When he wielded Mjolnir.
Oh, it was insane. It was, dude, I couldn't even handle it. And I'm the Hulk guy. It was insane.
Yeah, that scene was the one. I say in my review that there's one scene where it took every amount of composure I had not to freak out like a little girl.
No,
that was the moment. Whenever it flew through the air and he caught it and looked at this camera, I was
like, dude, yeah! It was just...
You all would hate seeing movies with me. I lost my stuff when that hammer came up and it was Captain America. I screamed, man. I was like, no way!
To your point, Lee, I will say this though. I think it's going to depend on the success of the MCU going forward. Like there's a lot of uneasiness, and we'll probably get into it. There's a lot of uneasiness out there about their direction with Captain Marvel. She's supposed to be the
best.
Leader.
We all agree, right?
Yeah, she's supposed to be the leader of this new generation. Obviously, Spider-Man is on borrowed time because as soon as Sony gets a couple more origin stories for villains, they're going to yank him back, I guarantee. Yeah. So you got Black Panther, and then the Guardians of the Galaxy really are the 2 big ones that are going to be left before long. So if they go through a phase or 2 with not Chris Evans and Tony Stark or Captain America and Tony Stark money, then they might be working some deals.
But this is what Chris Evans was when Captain America started. Chris Evans was the guy in Fantastic Four. He wasn't really a name, so like you got to give Marvel credit for creating names. Like
for sure. I'm just saying with it definitely the movies with Tony Stark tend to do a little bit better than the ones without him. The movies with Captain America tend to do a little better. I just don't think they were the main reason this movie is doing as well as it is. But as far as Lee's question, will they ever come back? It's going to depend on how successful they are without them.
Mark my words right now. Chris Evans will come back as Captain America. I'm saying
consider them marked.
Document it.
Words
and as far as like theater eruptions, I'm always interested in theater. I love when I watch a movie and a crowd is just so into it. And there's only one scene... aside from that scene where he grabs that hammer, where I've seen an audience completely lose their shit. That was and you guys are going to laugh at this. Rocky 4. When Rocky picks up the Russian and throws him on the ground, my crowd literally stood up, started clapping. It was insane. I know it sounds silly, but I'm telling you, that movie, was insane in the theater.
Well, that's what I always wanted, because if you guys don't all know this, but Stallone's maybe my favorite actor of all time.
Me too.
I've watched and so, but I'm young enough that I didn't see any of these classic movies in the theater. I didn't get on the train until he was kind of in a slump in his career. And so I've wondered about some of that. If you were there for Stallone, the year that he tapped into so much of the culture to get both Rambo 2 and Rocky 4 in the same year, and these massive hits that just connected with people. And they look cheesy now, but they were perfect for the year they came out.
I'm glad you brought that up, Sean, because I was there in 1985. I saw both those movies in the theater, and the audience reaction, he was that big. People can't even fathom how big he was back in 1985. 1-2 punch. In the summer, he had Rambo 2, and then Christmas, he had Rocky 4. And I remember the theater I went and seen Rocky 4, they closed out every other movie, and they showed Rocky 4 on every single screen. It was that big.
All four screens at it.
All 4 screens.
Wait. We have a super chat. AJ Daniels, thank you, $5 in the super chat. Who had a better send-off, Hugh Jackman in Logan or Robert Downey Jr. in Endgame?
Oh, that's a good question. Hugh Jackman. Yeah, I'll say Hugh Jackman.
I'll say, dude, I have never seen. Oh, there we go. I've never seen an audience reaction the way that I saw multiple times when I was in Endgame. I'll wait till Sean's finished stealing the spotlight. Or should I say Stallone? But yeah, there was 5 or 6 different moments where my theater just erupted. The biggest one was definitely the Captain America moment. But I've never really seen too many movies where a whole audience will just start applauding.
Oh yeah.
Maybe once in The Force Awakens when you see the Millennium Falcon for the first time or something like that, something big. But Endgame, man, it was every 15 minutes something would happen. It was oh yeah, whenever Captain America meets the other Captain America, oh my God, whenever Captain America gets Mjolnir. I loved it. There were so many moments where the whole theater just freaked out, and it did make the movie so much more enjoyable that it was we're all kids in a candy store.
Nobody freaked out when Captain Marvel destroyed the giant ship.
There was an applause, but there was an applause in my theater, but it was half the theater was eating at the time. They were
it's funny, we were just talking about Rocky, and in the chat, Tommy Gunn says Endgame sucked. You can't write this stuff.
That's great.
It was funny watching it through Emily's eyes, because I crash coursed her before we went, and I only showed her the Avengers movie. So it was Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Infinity War. So on your left, when that part happens, everybody's breaking out in applause, and she leans over. She goes, "Is this a big deal?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of a big deal."
Yeah, it's a big deal. That's
good. That was the other big moment. That was a straight 30 or 40 seconds of people freaking out. Every single person jumped out of a portal. They were yeah!
And I was one of those, Cody. Every time a portal opened and Black Panther comes out, Spider-Man comes out, Star-Lord comes out, I was with everybody in my theater.
Oh, the theater just erupted.
My mind.
Avengers assemble.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I don't want to say who it was, but the person that was sitting next to me was just bawling as the portals were opening.
Oh yeah. But it's great when you see a movie like that where the audience it just adds to the experience.
It does.
I know people that say, "Oh, I won't go to the theater." I wait until it comes out on Blu-ray and then I watch it at home, and I'm like, why would you deny yourself? I mean, yeah, a lot of times we go to the theater.
I understand that with horror movies, because horror movie crowd.
It's the opposite with horror movies. Yeah.
I will say my favorite movie that I ever saw at midnight with the best crowd ever was Snakes on a Plane. That movie is not the best movie, but man, the way my crowd reacted with that movie made it one of the funnest experiences ever.
That's, for me, the reason I'm trying to go back and watch Endgame as soon as I can isn't because I want to watch Endgame again. It's because I want to be with the crowd as they experience the movie for the first time. Yes. There's not a lot of movies that there's that much of I want to be there for it, that applause and the emotions that people feel throughout this whole film. And of course, especially that last hour. That's a special, unique thing that's going to disappear 2 days from now.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Talking about that, not to bring it into negativity, we don't have to spend too much time on this. Did any of you guys have the movie spoiled for you, or have anybody ruin it? Or did you have to deal with that at all?
Oh,
No,
I got a story for you.
I saw it at a press screening 2 days before it came out in theaters, so I...
I had 2 different close calls. Both of them were on Killer Flicks. Somebody tagged me because I'm an admin and somebody's spoiling it. So when I clicked, like, what does this guy tag me in? And that was the first thing. I was like, oh! So, like, I got rid of it. But there was another one where I just made a post after that where I was like, look, you're going to get banned from this group if you're in here just dropping spoilers. And then some guy who also dropped comments on my video days later this morning basically just made a little bullet point comment just to give me the middle finger. And I was scrolling through. All I saw was Bruce Banner, and I, like, threw my phone. I was like, ah! But it's amazing to me, like, the amount of toxicity that came out with this film with people that just want to destroy that joy for everybody. Yeah. Like, I can't believe
there's people that want to do that. It makes me so angry.
Welcome to the internet.
I opened up YouTube.
I know. It's still I've been doing this 4 years, and it's mind-boggling the cruelty on such a basic level. Let's ruin a work of fiction that you're looking forward to. Are you serious? Just let me enjoy this.
I did my Dream Warriors commentary yesterday, and I told everybody when I started it, I was like, look, I said, this video has nothing to do with Endgame, but I'm going to tell you all right now, if you're looking at the chat, there might be people that come in that just want to drop spoilers and leave. Wow. Not even 10 seconds after I started the movie, somebody just drops, Tony Stark dies, and I put ban. And, like, I was just like, dude, I've never seen that with a movie before. I've never seen that.
And so, like, a real thing for me is, so I hit 100,000 subscribers a couple weeks back, and I was going to do a live stream about it, and I couldn't do a live stream because people would spoil Endgame.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's an actual thing of my wife was like, hey, do you want to do it? I can be free. This is a big deal. And it's like, I mean, it's fine for me, but you haven't seen Endgame yet, and they'll spoil Endgame for you. And she's like, oh, yeah, wow. I hadn't thought about it. It's like, yeah. Like, the reason I haven't done something to celebrate, like, this massive career achievement for me is entirely because of these idiot trolls. I've banned, I think, over 50 people. In 48 hours, I banned about 50 people because I said, if you spoil Endgame, I'm going to ban you. If you don't put a spoiler warning, I'm going to ban you. And so then I just started going through it. And some people would put spoiler warnings before they'd say stuff. And it's like, I just don't want any of this here, obviously. So I deleted those ones. But if you just posted Iron Man dies, I banned them. And there are even some people that I think are regular commenters or people that message me on Facebook and stuff that did it. And I was like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, what's wrong with you? I asked you not to do this. Like, you message me daily, like, on these different places. Why would you go against my wishes in such a way that's like, obviously, I am furious that people are doing this, but it's weird. I don't get it's.
Somehow I lucked out on my channel, and I kept trying to ignore the comment sections because I posted a theory video, I posted an expectations video, I posted a top 5 favorite fight scenes video because I want to talk Marvel, but I was so scared with every new posting who's going to be the jerk in my comments, and thankfully I've lucked out, but also I've purposely turned a blind eye because as much as I want to ban somebody that's being a jerk, I also don't want it blown for me to ban them. So it's yeah.
Now I actually logged into YouTube and looked at my, the home page, and somebody had I guess they went to a screener and they held up their camera and took a screen cap of Iron Man with his Infinity Gauntlet, and they used that as their thumbnail.
Yep.
I saw that before I saw the movie. I was just like, you got to be kidding me, man.
They have watermarks in screeners, so that person might get tracked if that's his picture. Yeah, they have watermarks on screeners.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. There's the rules of screeners and embargoes seem to be pretty lenient in our community.
Yeah,
what do you mean, Cody? I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I will say this. I work at a movie theater, and I just found out if I catch somebody snapping a picture in the auditorium or filming with their phone, I could collect $500 for turning them in.
Nice.
Wow. Whoa.
So, all of you who love to do that and take pictures and spoil things, there is going to be some lucky dude in the theater who's going to catch you and make $500 while you face heavy fines.
One of the worst theater experiences I ever had was at Lights Out, and there was a woman directly in front of me who was literally Snapchat videoing every single scare in the movie. Every time the music would drop and you could tell, she would open Snapchat, and this was all I would see was just the back of a phone and lights. And she would record the entire scene with blinders at me and then post like little emojis on it and send it to everybody, like the whole movie.
That's horrible.
That's irritating.
Now we kind of already touched on this, but that final big showdown, we already pretty much talked about Captain America wielding the hammer. But aside from that scene, what would you guys? Because it was a freaking smorgasbord of great moments in that scene. I'll ask this to all of you guys: what was your favorite scene aside from the obvious one of that whole thing?
Mine was the line exchange between Thanos and Iron Man, because I saw as soon as Thanos said, "I'm inevitable," and he's like, "What?" And then he goes, "I am." I was like, "Say it!" Yeah, Iron Man. Boosh. I was like, "Yeah." That was the big one for me. Beside the Captain America thing, that was where the movie hit the high. But that when he was getting ready to say that, I was like, "Say it, Tony."
Stupid Spider-Man. He always makes me cry every time. Like that whole "I don't want to go." That made me cry in Infinity War. But when Stark was dying and unresponsive, and Peter Parker's like, "We won, Stark, we won!" Like, once again, I welled up, tears to my eyes, and I was like, "Darn you, Spider-Man! How can you do this to me?" So, like, it kind of steals Tom Holland as my favorite live-action Spider-Man for me. I love those moments.
That moment was great when, it kind of comes full circle, because he died in Tony's arms, and now Tony died in his arms, so it was kind of beautiful. CP, give me your favorite moment.
I loved when Giant Man punched that thing from Avengers out of the sky.
That was awesome.
I quite enjoyed that.
When he turns into Giant Man, it's I can't help but smile from ear to ear.
Yeah.
It's just something so cool about this big giant. It could be a creature. It could be a guy. Even when I was a little kid, I was always in awe of giants. I think that's why I loved King Kong so much when I was a kid. I don't know. It just makes you happy.
Yep.
And Sean, what was your favorite moment?
Favorite moment? I don't know. That's tough. I didn't think I Am Iron Man was really great. Built up to it in just a great final moment that tied in so many things kind of together really nicely.
Yeah.
Cody took mine. He's kind of a jerk.
Not kind of a jerk. He is.
Let me take another. Did you guys laugh whenever Thor took Stormbreaker from Cap? He's like, "No, you get the little one."
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I loved that.
Well, Thor saying "I knew it." That was a great scene too.
Yes.
I knew it.
I still loved it when Thor lifted up both hands. Stormbreaker came to one, Mjolnir came to the other, and I just went, "That's right. He brought Mjolnir back from the. He's got them both." Like, that was just so cool.
This movie was just filled with so many of those huge moments, and especially that last scene. Would you guys say that that's like the greatest action scene of all the MCUs, even Infinity War?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it had the emotional stakes, right? Like Infinity War, of course, that when everybody died, of course, that was huge. But this had more than that, I think.
I think so. I agree with you. The whole ending of this one hit me a little bit harder. But differently than Infinity War had the shock value.
Yeah.
The bad guy won and the good guys vanished. That was just shocking. This one wasn't as shocking, but the emotional hit was good.
Well, I think with the nature of this one, there's things about the Endgame finale where I felt they should have done more things. Hulk being a prime example. But you could go through a list of other characters where it doesn't seem like they got their moment, where with Infinity War, I felt people did get their moments.
Yeah.
And I left that when I was like, everyone that was in this battle got a cool moment. Whereas Endgame, it was like, I wish this person could have, I wish they would have done this. I wish this could have also happened. Everyone was there, but not necessarily everyone got to do a cool thing.
Yeah, everybody except the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like even Black Panther got this really cool moment, going through, and then, okay, we got him out of the way. Scarlet Witch, that was a really cool moment when she went against Thanos.
You took everything from me.
Yeah. I think a lot of the magic with Infinity War was kind of swapping out the team for different teams. Like you had Rocket and Thor, and there was a lot of magic there. You had Tony Stark and Doctor Strange, the two big mouths of the group, kind of going verbally at it, bringing the Guardians in and everything. So everybody kind of getting mixed and matched was really fun in that one. Whereas this one, rightfully so, it felt like they got to focus on the original Avengers for the most part, like the big three, the big two, however you want to say it. And for me, that's what I wanted. So the fact that we got so much conclusion with Captain America, so much conclusion with Tony Stark, a lot of good stuff with some of the other characters, that was more than enough for me. I wasn't really, aside from the Hulk, I wasn't really too picky about some of the other characters that are going to continue on because they're continuing on. We're going to get to see more.
I got to bring up Dennis's comment down there. We could have gotten Cap and Red Skull. Like, wouldn't it have been cool to have those two like see each other again?
Somebody, I never thought about that. I think I might have even brought it to the group chat. But somebody, somebody was messaging me, one of my subscribers, and they were like, "Wouldn't Cap have come face to face with Red Skull when he put the Soul Stone back?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Where's that scene?" Like,
hey, does it cost anything to put the Soul Stone back?
I don't know.
You get
Maybe it cost him the hammer.
And once the Soul Stone's gone, could the Red Skull leave? Like, those are questions I want to know.
Mm-hmm. What if Hulk said Hulk smash? How awesome would that
would have been awesome.
That would have been awesome. Okay.
I'm just glad all the females teamed up together.
Me too.
Yeah, the girl power moment.
And nothing led up to that.
That didn't feel heavy-handed.
It felt so natural.
Wow, it's great.
Hey, can we all meet here at 8 o'clock and then we'll have like a powwow? I'll bring the punch and then we'll all go face Thanos together. What do you think?
I actually can't remember that scene that you're talking about.
Oh, good for you.
It's gone. Like,
it's gone from your memory?
It left so little impact on me. I did not remember it.
Yeah.
On that note, I don't know if you had this in the kill list or not, Lee, so I apologize. But what do you guys think about Captain Marvel in this movie?
No, I thought she was written horribly.
Carol Ex Machina.
How they wrote her.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be objective about it. She had a couple cool moments when she went up against Thanos. Yeah, you know, if you looked at a little YouTube video, Captain Marvel against Thanos, I'd probably click on that and say, yeah, that's pretty cool. But I'll be honest, when I was watching this movie with that crowd and they freaking cheered like every 10 minutes, a couple of people might have cheered, but she did not get the reaction like all the other heroes were getting. So it's evident that there's some strife there. She
showed up at the end and blew up that huge ship, right?
Yeah.
And I went, oh yeah, she's in this. That was my experience.
I think everybody did. When I saw the glowing thing they were shooting at, I was wondering what ship was coming in. It never dawned on me that it was Carol Danvers until it was Carol Danvers. I was like, oh yeah,
that's right.
But yeah, I don't know. I said whenever I saw Captain Marvel, I was like, I don't love this movie. I don't necessarily love Brie Larson's portrayal so far or the character, but I hope they're going to utilize her well in Avengers. And maybe I'll grow to love her. Yep. And I think I like her even less after this movie because you don't get to know what. Yeah, you don't get to know what her powers are. She glows. She totally segregates herself from the group. Like, there's no okay, I'm part of the Avengers now, or there's no like, hey, good job doing what you've done so far. It's totally like, all right, guys, I'm here. Go take a potty break. I'll take care of Thanos.
Some of it isn't on her though, because she leaves because she says there's things to deal with outside of Earth, but half of humanity just got wiped out. What is more important than that at that moment that she's got to just hightail it?
I got to take care of stuff on Neptune.
Yeah,
right
what
now.
are you talking about?
That makes no sense. There's one guy over there.
Earth
he needs
is
a cup of water.
World, and there's no attachment. Yeah.
Plus, we're to assume that when he does the snap, half of all living things, no matter where it is, get wiped out. So wouldn't that be a more pressing issue?
They glossed over that one.
Yeah. That's not her fault so much as it's all right.
Do you guys think she sealed her fate in this press run?
They're just not using her right.
Well, I didn't hear any of that.
Do you guys think that she sealed her fate in this press run? I think there's a chance that they could recast Captain Marvel or not even do another Captain Marvel movie.
I don't know if they're going to recast her, but I can guarantee they're changing plans with how much of a presence she's going to be going forward. I think they're going to switch gears to Black Panther because nobody's really complaining about Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. So they pretty much said numerous times Captain Marvel is going to be the most powerful. She's going to lead this new generation of Phase 4 or whatever. And, I was somebody, I never really bought into the whole thing about, Brie Larson hates white men or whatever. I didn't really care. I was like, whatever.
Me neither.
I was like, whatever. You guys are twisting words. But I watched a couple of those interviews, and unless they did it just as a joke that nobody's in on except for the cast, it looks like nobody can stand her. Like, you'll see interviews with her and Jeremy Renner, and he's literally like this. Like,
that Renner one's really crucial, yeah.
Dude. Yeah. And like the one with Chris Hemsworth where he's joking around, obviously, like, Tom Cruise, and she's like, we're just going to...
I'm going to be the next me.
Yeah, it's like, who are you? You know what I mean? And
we've had 3 Hulks. We've had there's another replacement that I'm forgetting.
2 roadies.
2 roadies. Yeah, 2 roadies. Right.
Yep.
So it's not completely
and
out of the
the Zachary Levi replacement in there, whichever his character's name.
Yeah, whatever, the blonde dude with the sword. Yes.
Yeah, blonde dude with the sword was replaced.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, what if they bring in this new female that's just like amazing, you know?
No.
So
I mean, it's just it's really weird. It's uncomfortable even as a fan. It's just like, what is it? Is this the hands we're leaving the MCU in? It seems very awkward all around. And I don't know if the movie changed at all with that. I don't know if she had a bigger presence and they were like, okay, we got to change gears. We got to kind of put her in the background for a while.
I think the movie is what it was. I don't think she had a bigger presence. I think her presence in the movie is what it always was. And I don't think like her character is her movie was nothing special or spectacular. It was fun, but it was nothing spectacular.
No.
And like you said, Cody, earlier, seeing her interact with the Avengers was going to be a big deal because it's going to really give her character life, and they took away her interaction. Yeah. So
keep in mind, she shot this first too, so keep that in mind. So they had no idea what was going to be of Captain Marvel when they first shot this.
Well, I was glad that Alita came out at the same time as Captain Marvel, because Alita, to me, as far as like strong women in movies go, I thought Alita was a much more fleshed out character, and by the end of that movie, I was completely rooting for that character. Whereas Captain Marvel, I felt pretty much nothing throughout the whole thing. So that's just me, though.
What were you saying, Sean?
With Captain Marvel, so her movie, inherent to the plot of it, and her story arc is that she has amnesia and people are telling her don't use your emotions. So you don't really get to know her or what she's really like besides she's feisty and cocky. And and even up to the end of the movie, and she doesn't even know her powers, so we don't know her powers. So I went into this movie hoping, okay, she's had over 20 years to figure out who she is, her personality, control her powers, all that fun stuff. And also, I feel that most of the Avengers got better when they came together. When you get to the Avengers movie, Chris Hemsworth gets better at playing Thor. Captain America has more personality, and they have great rapport. So I was really excited to see her have that Avengers bump and have better rapport. But then her character shows up, walks in the room, and she's cocky, feisty, and they developed her character. She added condescension. And we're talking about the movie blocking off, bookending the story arc for Captain America, Tony Stark, this set of Avengers, and she walks in and talks down to them as like, I'm going to go do it myself. I don't need you guys.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it positions her in such a bad place. It makes her look horrible, and it makes her incredibly unlikable, and we still don't know anything about her personality besides cocky, feisty, condescending, kind of full of herself.
She got a haircut.
She got a haircut, too.
Yeah, the haircut.
I think the movie would have been more powerful if she wasn't in it, and instead of her coming and taking out the giant ship, if Thor hit it with that giant thunderbolt that he learned how to do in Ragnarok. I feel like that could have been just as effective, if not more.
Yeah. Well, guys, we pretty much covered all the topics. You guys said I wouldn't be able to do it, but I said you underestimate my power, and I was right. So
Lee had the time stone.
Yeah, I had the time stone, so we were able to cover all the topics. So I really want to thank my guests. As I always do at the end of a Scream stream, I like to go down and talk to each guest and find out what you guys have coming out. I want to promote you guys' channels. So we'll start with Cody. What do you got coming up, brother?
You won't start with Cody.
He vanished.
Do not start with Cody.
Yeah.
Okay.
He ran somewhere.
I don't have my Skype up. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'll start with Durbin. What you got coming up, bro?
Oh, man. Well, tomorrow I'm posting my theological analysis for Avengers Endgame. And I call that one Fighting the Impossible Fight. And kind of, diving into Hulk a little bit, how he viewed Hulk as the disease and not the cure, and how he fought that impossible fight when he changed his mindset. Tony Stark doing a lot of decisions out of fear, and then finally, out of faith, he lays down on the wire at the end of this. He gives his life, and so like the whole character arc of Tony Stark. So I'm very much looking forward to that dropping tomorrow. I have no idea what's coming after that because I had so much Avengers stuff going on. But
we all
trust me, I'm always doing something every week.
Awesome. Let's go to Sean. What do you got coming up, Sean?
Woo! Everything. So tomorrow I'm dropping my heroes ranking for the MCU update. A couple days after that, my villains ranking. And then starting next Saturday, I think it's going to be a 2 or 3 part series, I'm ranking all 58 theatrically released Marvel movies. I started watching them back in December, so I've rewatched all but 2 of them. So I have to watch the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies. I saved the best for last. But I all of them within the last 6 months. So it's like my magnum opus, the thing I've been working on forever. And if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm going to be leading a panel at Fan Expo next Saturday on Saturday afternoon. So if you're a Dallas-Fort Worth fan, come and see me. Say hello. I'll try and be friendly and not too awkward. I'll probably be awkward, though.
I'll probably be awkward. Cool. Cody, what do you got coming up?
I have to do my spoiler talk for Avengers today. That'll be out later on tonight. My ranking took way longer than it was supposed to because of technical issues with YouTube and stuff, but that's dropped. But I'll do my spoiler talk tonight. I'm going to do a review from Dusk Till Dawn. I watched that when I was on vacation and kind of reignited my love for it. And Bryan, funny enough, did a review the day that I saw it. I was like, wish I'd have known this. I'd have dropped it the same day. But I'm going to do a review for that at some point. I'm steadily working on ranking all the kills in the Halloween franchise. There's like 134 of them. So I have to kind of finagle that video a bit. It's not going to be the same way that the Nightmare on Elm Street one is, but that'll probably be out by the end of May. Also going to be doing a couple more Patreon reviews here and there. And at some point, I've had a lot of requests, Lee, since you've been doing the top 10 slashers, top 10 remakes, stuff like that. I've had a lot of people like, hey, you should do this. So I'm kind of staying out of it until you get winded on it because I don't want to do it at the same time as you. But at some point, people want me to do some of those countdowns and rankings, so I'll probably do some of those as well. But that's all I got. You should go ahead
and do slashers if you want, because I pretty much did my full run of worst, best. I did like 3 best videos. So right now I'm doing horror sequels, so this would probably be a good opportunity for you to jump in with the slashers if you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep, I might do that.
CP, what about you, brother?
I got the 24-hour movie marathon I'm doing this week, so my slate is a little empty. Show business tomorrow, we're talking about the record-setting Avengers Endgame, but for the week, if I'm not focusing on Patreon stuff, I have 24 hours of movie watching to clear up, so it's a little foggy the next week or 2.
Wow. Well, I did something really cool yesterday. One of my best friends that I was in the military with, he happened to be in town. He lives in Indiana, and he came down here to Florida, and he said, I want to see your movie room, your studio. And I was like, okay. And so he's like, can I do a video with you? And I was like, yeah, why not? So we did like our top, because he's a big Halloween fan like me. So we did our top 5 Halloween kills. That was his first video he's ever done, and he freaking loved it. And he was like, dude, this is awesome. So I recorded that. I'm going to get that out. I'm really excited about putting that out. That's going to be fun. He's going to get a kick out of it too. Nice. I got to do Hills Have Eyes. I just finished up watching that one. That's a good movie, actually. And then I'm doing top 10 horror sequels, and I mean God, the possibilities of horror sequels. I'll probably do at least a 5-video run of those. So, yeah,
top 50 then.
Yeah, I know. That's pretty much what I got going on. So, anyway, I want to thank first off all you guys that were watching. I know I saw some of the comments saying you guys aren't talking to us, but when you got 300 people watching, you can't hit every comment. We do.
Wait! Yeah. Congrats to Cody for being newly engaged.
Congrats, Cody. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Bring your ring over here, woman.
As soon as she posted,
congrats, Holly.
When there was a post on Facebook about going to Disney World, and it was just the 2 of you. As soon as I saw that, I knew there was going to be a proposal announcement very shortly, and I was right. I predicted it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have. So now you guys can change that hashtag to bought Holly a ring.
Hashtag marry that girl now.
Yeah. Congratulations to both of you.
Expensive wedding coming.
Put a
soon.
ring on it.
Yeah.
Have a ring.
I bought the ring. You buy the wedding.
You buy the wedding.
That's really unfair.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a wedding coming up myself. My daughter's getting married in August. So yeah.
Ooh, congrats.
So when do you need help hiding the body? Well, we'll talk after. We'll talk after.
Anyway, thank you all for watching. This was one of the better streams I've had, and Sean and Durbin, man, you guys are so awesome. I hope you guys would come back for other streams down the road if I asked you. Oh,
yes.
You guys are too cool, man. I feel like I have such a good flow with all you guys, so You make it easy. You make my job easy. So anyway,
let me go
guys,
ahead and whet your guys' appetites with something too. On the next Scream stream, there will be something announced.
Ooh,
so make sure you stay tuned.
I am so looking forward to that. We got a lot of work ahead of us, guys, but it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be worth it. So anyway, guys, I hope you guys all have a great day, and go see Endgame again. And CP, take us out.
Today's edible panties flavor is shawarma.
Shawarma. Yeah, that's only fitting.
So fitting.